country that has suffered a crisis in several acts. This has been decisive in the recent political debate. In what had happened 4 years ago, when Syriza won for the first time with 36.3%, a victory that opened the way to historical change that was not, and it was determining for what happened. That has returned to traditional politics in Europe with a right of a different type, the classical, the neo-Nazi, the ultra, the skeptical, and with a left that seems to be falling behind. An unpopular vision of things, that of the Troika, made the European Central Bank and the European Commission, ended up ruling over the rebellion of the people who eagerly went to the polls, first to choose the left, and then what happened? This is the demonstration that a whole project can be torpedoed by the head chiefs. Is austerity the only possibility? Who's winning? To the European Union strategic points of this crisis. Greece post-electoral panorama. This is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to have more information, some guests, and we always with
Hechos noticiosos.
Let's see. Parliamentarians confirmed their new July. The traditional with the triumph that leaves no doors, no doubts. New democracy with Kyriakos Mitsotakis at the head, who got 40% of the votes and 158 seats in the parliament and a total of 30. The radical left gather in Syriza achieved 31.5, equivalent to 86 seats. In third place was the left with 8.1 and 22 seats, the leftist movement for the change that mixes some of the remains of PASOK and related small formations. In fourth place is the Greek Communist Party with 5.3 of the votes and 15 seats. Greek Solution, ultra-right, with 10 seats, and Mir with 25 with 9 seats. Occupy the fifth and the sixth place in the final arithmetic. Golden Aurora and Golden Dawn, neo-Nazi party, did not even reach a minimum of 3% to enter the legislative space. This was what the new Prime Minister of Greece said yesterday when he was on his way to the country. He was talking to the country after knowing that he had received the victory. I am very grateful for the result. We gained an absolute majority. That was our primary goal. We reached 40%, an incredible number given the context of a fragmented political landscape. And I feel I have a strong mandate to fulfill my agenda, designed to grow the economy, create more jobs, but also to feel more safe in our country. It is an important victory for Europe, not just for Greece. It seems that the extreme right Golden Aurora has failed to exceed the 3% threshold, which is a great victory for Greek democracy. I am very proud that I have taken over a party that was at 28% in the last elections and at the end took 40%. Who does not fight does not fail, who does not struggle does not fall. This is what the former Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras said in a press conference where he accepted his defeat. We will fight with determination and conviction, so this defeat is not definite. Let's go to the map. Let's start with, here we have it, Greece, which is strategically located. It's officially Hellenic Republic, sovereign country, member of the European Union, 131,957 square kilometers, in which 11 million people live. a fairly equal country if you look that almost everyone speaks Greek and the vast majority professes Orthodox Christianity. Athens, the capital, is the most populous country. Other cities such as Thessaloniki, Pireo, Patras, Heraclon, Larissa are political, economic, and cultural centers at the regional level. It has its origin in the ancient Greece and a cradle of Western civilization. For the West, it's the birthplace of democracy, Western philosophy, Olympic Games, literature, the study of history, politics, and most important, principles of mathematicians and science. Greece is strategically located between Europe, Asia, and Africa and shares borders with Albania to the northwest, north to Macedonia and Bulgaria, and to the northeast with Turkey. Let's keep these last lines in mind, because that's what we're going to be analyzing later, the relevance of this country. Let's go to Latin American press that says, Greece wakes up to a new prime minister and the right in power. President Prokopis Prolopoulos entrusted him with a forming government. Mitsotakis is sworn in as prime minister less than 24 hours after the elections. The new prime minister attended the inaugural ceremony at the Palace Maximou. This is the former royal palace, presidential office in the center of Athens. He swore, following the traditional religion formula, with his hand on the Bible and before the Archbishop of Athens, Jeremy II, and several representatives of the Orthodox Church. He said, "The people have given us a strong mandate to change the country. From today, we start to work hard. I have full confidence in our ability to rise to the occasion." Mitsotakis was minister in the last government led by ND. He used to study in Harvard. He was minister in the previous government. He's part of one of the three great political families in Greece. Well, let's go to the world order, May 5th. It says, The Greek Wounds of the Crisis, written by David Hernandez. He's a researcher in international relations by the Complutense of Madrid. He says, the aftermath of the recession is still evident in a country that was for several months the center of the greatest tension and fragility of the European Union. Greece still has to face a myriad of dilemmas. On one hand, the political catharsis produced by economic recession, with the notable collapse of traditional parties, led to the rise and despair political formations, which represent a very different and incompatible country project. On the other hand, inequality and poverty led to polarization and permanent irritation on the streets, which continue to hamper the possibility of restoring a minimal climate of consensus. Under these circumstances, the Greeks have had to redefine their relations with European partners, attend to the arrival of refugees, and rethink its own national identity following the controversial and historical agreement reached with the Northern Macedonian. A central agent in Greece remains the army, vital to the stability of the country. With one of the highest budgets in NATO. Its weight derives from the territorial rivalry with Turkey and the delicate borders of the Balkans. Well, as I was telling you, their strategic location is a starting point to understand the relevance of this country. One of the opening doors to the European Union. So let's see how all of this is defined. Greece.
Su territorio ocupa un espacio
It
ubicado en la
occupies
encrucijada de tres continentes,
the,
Europa,
the
Asia
crossing
y
point of
África, y que funge
Asia,
como
Africa, and
intermediario
Europe,
entre Oriente
and
y
as a
Occidente.
mediator between
En el pasado,
West
este
and
espacio
East.
estuvo dominado
Before,
por
this
tres
space was
grandes
dominated by
imperios,
three
el romano,
empires,
el
the
griego
Roman, the
bizantino
Greek,
y el otomano,
and the
que
Ottoman,
prosperaron
which
justamente
prospered
gracias a los
thanks to
intercambios y
the
el comercio
exchange
entre
and
estas dos
commerce
partes del mundo.
between these
La
parts of the
apertura
world.
del canal de Suez
The
y la
opening of the
relevancia
Suez
del petróleo
Canal
del Medio
and the
Oriente
relevance
han
of the oil
restablecido el papel
have reestablished
geoestratégico del Mediterráneo
the
oriental. La
geopolitical
ubicación de
role of
Grecia
this
en
country.
esta zona le ofrece
So its
varias
location
alternativas,
offers them several
balcánicas,
opportunities.
europeas, orientales y marítimas. La dimensión mediterránea y
The,
marítima
dim-
de Grecia
the,
abarca varios grupos de islas con
they have lots of
extensas aguas
islands
territoriales.
with lots
En
of
este factor,
territorial
Grecia debe la
waters. In this
posesión de la
factor,
primera marina mercantil en
it
el
has
mundo.
the first
Pero además,
merchant
el
marine
espacio
of the
helénico
world.
está en el centro de rutas
And
marítimas
it's in
importantes.
the midst
Primero, la
of
que
marine
conecta el Mar
routes.
Negro con
First,
el
the one that
Mediterráneo, el
crosses the
archipiélago
Black
del
Sea
Egeo,
and the
que ejerce un eficaz
Mediterranean,
control en el
the other one
transporte
with
entre
the
los dos mares.
archipelago
Más al sur, la
Egeo
isla de Creta,
and the
situada
two
en el eje
seas, then
principal
the
del
other one of the island
Mediterráneo,
of Crete,
conduce desde
and it
Gibraltar
takes you
hacia
from
Siria,
Gibraltar to
Líbano,
Syria,
Israel,
Lebanon,
Egipto y el
Israel,
canal de
Egypt,
Suez.
and the
Al
Suez
oeste,
Canal.
la isla de Corfú, que
Then the
permite el
island of
control del
Corfu
canal
that could between the
un área de tensión. La ruta por este mar
and
es
the
vital
route
para
through
los
this
países
sea
ribereños
is
del Mar
fundamental,
Negro,
especially because of the
exportar
oil
desde
production
Caspia y Siberia.
that has to be
Grecia
exported from
tiene bajo su
Caspia.
soberanía 36% de las aguas del
They have
Egeo, que
36%
constituye el
of the
corazón del
Aegean
importantes
of
vías
this zone.
tanto marítimas
The 12th mile, they would have 70. It feels affected. In terms of air traffic, it is pivotal because it joins all of the three areas too. This offers them a huge advantage civil flights. Let's see the political, all of this electoral scheme, and all of these geopolitical. Let's go to him. Arbi de Asa. Good afternoon. Mr. Mitsotakis won the elections, and today he already swore into his seat. Several are the symbolic details of this swearing in. The first are now back to the ministries. Before Tsipras, only he used. However, Kyriakos on the other hand, the relation with the church is now recovered. The previous president, Syriza, has tried to take the separation of government and religion. However, this new president has sworn in before the patriarchs of the church. The economy that's fundamental, not only in Greece, but in basically all the countries, but especially in Greece. Mitsotakis says that he's neoliberal, and his formation is in the most elite university of the U.S. His academic formation is neoliberal, conservative when it comes to social aspects, because, for example, in the religious aspect, and in the last months, there are some movements that support him. We expect they're going to be neoliberal. There will be some cuts. Austerity would not affect the lower class, but on the middle class. But obviously lost because the middle more than the lower class. But Mitsotakis, it's going to end because what has to do with the social organization or with the social movement, then we have something to celebrate. It's the disappearing. What we have to, there is no more space for the neo-Nazi golden aurora. They didn't receive even 3%. That this was a paramilitary structure. So at least there's something to celebrate about. Thank you, Ibai, for all the details. Let's ask ourselves internally if Greece has the possibility to solve this situation that is called, cul-de-sac. In regional terms, what does it mean? What does this right-wing government mean? Greece, a panorama post-electoral. This is what we're going to be talking about today, on Monday, July 8th. The traditional right has won in Greece. The bids all did not fail. Let's remember, from 2010, Greece has received 3 rescues for billions of dollars, while their loans are still higher than what they've been able to balance. Their PIB is still too high. The last loan was June 2018. The hard economic crisis in Greece that has been going on from 10 years, and all of the economic plans, both of Greece and International Front, have now taken their toll on the previous president, because the right has been able to take over all of the new government. Before, they had to privatize. They've lowered 22% the number of jobs. Greece must pay 20% of interest on their loans. So the public loans are 200% of the national PIB. There have been some factors that have improved. For example, unemployment has gone down from 27% to 19% in 2018, according to the European Work Office. However, a faculty says that only a small percentage of the rescue has gone to social aspects. The rest have gone to international economic groups that gave the loans. Kyriakos Mitsotakis has committed himself to make the economy grow at a 4% annually and to negotiate with Brussels to reduce the amount of loans they have, what they have to pay as a debt. What he wants is to have some oxygen for the middle class that is asphyxiated by taxes. However, several analysts consider that he will not be able to reduce taxes, and he'll have to go back to the classical neoliberal recipes. As always, after our context piece, we have a guest. Let's see who is going to be with us today. We have Mario de Delas of the Public, and from Athens, we're going to have Choros Davos from Athens.
Y ex corresponsal de la agencia española EFE en Atenas. María, les saludo,
María, greetings to
Bueno, quisiéramos ir de lo interno al contexto regional, es decir, de la casa propiamente a la vecindad, y por eso le pregunto primero.
So I would like to know, how can this triumph be explained?
Solo hallamos las causas en las contradicciones y
Are there
debilidades
only the only reasons are all of the weaknesses of the previous governments? Well, thank you, Lucia. All of you. Well, I think that the population has suffered for many years now, and they've been punished very strongly. So I think that the key of this, it's of voters that have lost, decided not to go to the polls like they went before.
Con toda la modestia, pero probablemente la aceptación
policies imposed by the Troika,
las políticas
all of these policies based on the rescue,
basadas en la deuda,
based on the debt, that they have led them policies that were
se les había votado a Tsipras y a Syriza, ¿no? Entonces,
falling. So when the left does the same as the right, then they'll just go back to the right. Why go back to the copy? On the other hand, you were speaking about everything that has been gained. And yes, in fact, there was a reduction in the unemployment. However, the salary
son contratos que lo que cobra un trabajador lo cobra en dinero no declarado.
All of a complete salary.
Yo creo que es el producto de esa abstención se debe sobre todo a la asfixia, a la que
this
se ha
abstention
sometido a la
is
población
due to the suffocation of the people. So there is somebody did pay the bill for all of this. He said, the previous president said, I hope that this new government does not get even minorities. I ask you, after this quote, do you agree that Mitsotakis, there might be a stronger austerity and these well-known recipes of the Troika? So maybe the Union could be a bit more. Well, I can't say anything. I have no knowledge enough to prognosticate to Union will strengthen even more all of the policies imposed on Greece. I don't think there's space for that. However, there is a possibility. There could be I would not say it. I would not go as far as to say about what. Well, Tsipras said some hours ago that the electoral campaign begins tomorrow.
Pues mire, aquí esto sí que me atrevo un poquito
Well,
más.
here I can just say a little
No
bit
sé
more.
qué se llamó la nueva política.
What happened to
Tanto
this
en
so-called
Grecia
new
como
policy,
en español,
like in Greece
como en
and
otros
also
países. Estaba como una
because
alternativa
it was like
a la
an option, it
socialdemocracia,
was an alternative.
con medidas que iban
And they
muchísimo
had
más allá,
policies
con
that
programas
went
que iban
beyond
muchísimo más allá, que
programs.
eran mucho más rupturistas, con
They cut
dictadas
with
por
all other entities. What happens now is that
lo que es
policies,
se busca
even has been
democracia
substituted
por sí, lejos de aquella
by
esperanza de ruptura,
far
existen organizaciones, pero aquella esperanza que
but that
despertó
hope
se vio
that this
bastante
frustrated
tiempo.
go.
Gana Europa, finalmente
And what do you
logró
think?
disciplinar a un
Does
rebelde y
Europe
sacarlo del
win?
poder.
They were able to get
Lo
a rebel
segundo
out
no
of
sé si
the
gana, lo
out of the
que
government.
sí gana son los organismos
Well, not
antidemocráticos
necessarily
de la Unión
Europe,
Europea. Eso sí que
but
está bastante
some
claro.
organisms of the European
Como
Union
decía
do.
un economista
Just like
portugués,
a Portuguese
Chico Lousa,
economist said, Chico Lousa,
a menudo nos preocupamos mucho y
frequently
además con razón sobre la extrema
we're
derecha, que cada vez
worried
parece
about
ser
the
que se ha visto
extreme
bastante
right
neutralizada en Grecia, ¿no?
that
Y
is
efectivamente es
not
muy
so
peligroso el
present
avance de la extrema derecha, pero no
in
nos hacemos
Greece.
suficientemente cargo
But we
de la carga, las instituciones europeas,
to
como
all
si
of the
fueran instituciones
institutions, the
La
classes.
relevancia geopolítica de Grecia no es poca, ¿no? También mira análisis
Let's see,
ubicada
regionally,
allí
Greece is
enclavada en
very
el mar
important
Mediterráneo
due
y
to
como
its low
decía
Greece in the past
además
mean.
geográficamente donde se
And
encuentra
geographically,
situada,
where
donde se
it's
encuentra
located
Turquía,
and
en
where
el
it's
que también se
Turkey,
están produciendo cambios.
and where there's also changes going on.
Efectivamente, digamos, es bien significativo lo que acaba de ocurrir.
And in fact, what just happened is very
María, muchísimas gracias
significant.
por este tiempo que le ofrece
Thank you
la
very
audiencia
much,
de
Maria,
Telesur.
for your
Ha sido muy
time.
amable.
Muchísimas gracias a ustedes.
Thank you
Hasta
very
pronto.
much.
Despedimos a María de Delas desde Barcelona, España, y ahora conectemos con la capital griega,
Let's
Atenas.
go
Allí nos
to
espera por la
Athens,
vía
Greece.
telefónica Yorgos
On phone, we
Vairondauros,
have
analista político
our
responsable
analyst.
de grandes reportajes
He's
de la
responsible
agencia de
for
noticias griega,
huge
Ana
reports,
LPA, y ex corresponsal de la agencia
and
española EFE en Atenas.
he used to
¿Cómo
be
está?
a journalist for
Quisiera primero su
EFE.
visión, ¿no?
I would
De
like
lo
your
que
opinion
significan estos
on
resultados, la lectura
these
que usted está
results.
haciendo.
We will see them in the near
Lo que pasa
future.
es que no creo que
The thing
el
is that
nuevo gobierno,
I don't think
aunque sus
that a government,
esperanzas
even
y
if
lo que ha prometido
their hopes
es
and what they've
de poder
promised
cambiar
is to be able to change
las tratativas con Bruselas.
the way the negotiations
Ya
with
tenemos
Brussels. I think
un mensaje por la
there's
parte
there's
de la
already a
cúpula
message
de las instituciones
from the
europeas
European
que no quieren
institutions
cambios,
that they don't want
por lo
any
menos en
changes,
la
at least
estricta política
in the strict
económica
economic
del
policy.
país. Y entonces, en ese
So
sentido,
in that sense,
los logros del nuevo
all of the
gobierno
achievements
van a
of the
ser
new
un
government
poco limitados
will be a bit
en el
limited
nivel económico.
on the
Yo no
economic
creo que va
side.
a cumplir
I don't think
tantas de las
that
promesas que
they're
ha
going to
hecho
be
en esa
able to
campaña electoral.
keep
Y
up with all of
entonces
the
el
promises.
enfoque
So
de ese gobierno
this
va a ser
government
en los puntos
will have a main focus on
distintos de
on
su
different
programa.
points than the
Es
ones
decir,
they
de la
proposed.
seguridad pública,
So this is public
quizás
security.
unas reformas
There's
que
going to be some
abrirán las
reforms
puertas
that probably open the doors
investidores extranjeros, pero
to foreign
con
investors.
logros económicos que vamos a averiguar en el futuro.
But we will
cuáles
only know
van
the
a
result
ser
economically of the future of this. We'll only
cuáles
know
van a
it
ser
like
esos logros.
in some time.
También las otras
And additionally,
decisiones,
all of the
las
other
otras
decisions,
promesas,
all of the other
se van a
promises
cumplir
that
en el campo
let's see
de
if
la
they're going to be
diplomacia,
promised
de
in
la
the
diplomacia
in the
europea,
field of
en los
diplomacy.
Balcanes, la inmigración y Sobre todo
And
una
overall,
cuestión que es muy cara en el electorado griego,
something
y
that's
eso
expensive in the Greek
pasó un poco la
electorate.
factura
And this is what
Alexis
happened.
Tsipras, al gobierno de Alexis Tsipras.
This is what happened to the former
Que
government, Tsipras.
tiene que ver con
And
el
it has to
nombre
do with the name
de la Macedonia del Norte.
Sí hubo paso
of
de
North
factura
Macedonia.
también, nos dice nuestro invitado Yorgos, ganó, ¿no?
They won at the end.
Los mercados financieros
The financial markets
premian también
the
el
new
más
government be
proclive
the most
a hacer,
idonious, the
unas
best,
más amplias reformas
to be able to pass through the
que tienen que ver con
more
las,
reforms that have
como
to
he
do
explicado antes, de las inversiones
that have to do with the
del
investments
extranjero,
of the
pero también
international investments.
aboliendo unas medidas
But of course, they abolish all of the
que Alexis
measures,
Tsipras
the
impuso
poorest
del
sectors,
sueldo mínimo, por ejemplo, o
hospitals.
porque ya una de las promesas
So one of the
Kyriakos
promises
Mitsotakis es
that
de reformar este
Takis
sistema
has done is
de las pensiones
what
y
he has offered is to
de
reform market,
libre mercado,
opening
social.
Ahora le pregunto la relevancia geopolítica
systems.
que describíamos al comienzo y
related to the
desde
geopolitical and
Barcelona,
strategic
este nuevo primer ministro.
Problema de la
migration
lo tiene,
is a problem that
tienen que ser
forward
de Alexis Tsipras,
the country of Alexis, of people that come.
en Grecia, que Grecia es la puerta de y entonces
Has de-escalated now with the
aún términos económicos,
even
no
though there are
ha variado
economic,
tanto
there's
porque
an economic
el sueldo lo tenemos
welfare
de la Unión Europea,
of the
calles,
security. How is the security on the
y por lo
streets?
menos,
And at
Kyriakos
least
Mitsotakis, se ha
Mitsotakis
marcado este tema
has
en términos
spoken
de
about it
seguridad
in terms
social,
of
y
social
él promete
security,
que
and
va a
he
resolver
promises that
el
he would
problema de
solve
tantos inmigrantes que están en la
all
calle,
the
y
streets.
aún como ha
And
gestionado
still,
por nacionalismo,
so
un
this
poco de
aspect of
racismo
nationalism
que empieza
and
a
fascism
presentarse en la
that
sociedad
begin
griega
to have a
respecto
space
a
in the
estos
Greek
inmigrantes
society
que
in face with these migrants.
su número es tan enorme que un
The
país
number is
como
so
la
huge
Grecia
that
no
a country
puede
like
albergar
Greece
y no puede
cannot host
hospitar un número así grande, y por
such a
las
big
condiciones que
number.
la Grecia se encuentra, unas condiciones de
And
crisis,
let's bear in mind that they have their own
condiciones de
political
escasez,
crisis,
no
economical
solo
crisis.
de sueldo
So it's not only the
de
salary,
dinero, sino de estructuras, porque con
it's
la
about
crisis
structures
es un país las estructuras básicas para su población.
that is
Entonces,
very
es un campo
weakened.
en que,
The basic
Nueva
structure for this
Democracia
poor is not
ha
good.
podido de sacar muchísimos votos, aún de personas
So let's see what happens, because there's been a lot of
antes tenían
votes
confianza
of people that
también
used to
a
have,
Tsipras.
they used to trust
Me pregunto, Yorgos, para
Tsipras.
finalizar,
Another
desde un
win
lado del análisis se la
for the
describe
right
como
wing.
frágil, ¿no?
Sí, el
Well,
significado de
democracy is
significativa en términos
very significant in terms of hegemony of the right Movementian Union. This is to say
en este escenario
that in that scenery
se ha salido de las últimas elecciones europeas,
that in face with elections we have like almost a tie with the socialists
y los conservadores.
and the
Entonces,
conservatives.
Un otro bastión conservador en el seno de la Unión Europea
Another
es muy
factor to
importante,
consider
sobre la imagen hegemónica
is the hegemonic figure
de las fuerzas conservadores en Europa. Y porque
that
además
Greece
no tiene
has.
una otra significación, porque Mitsotakis, como he explicado antes,
And so
no tiene
we
otra
don't know
opción
what's going to
que,
happen.
seguir la misma
Mr.
política económica,
Mitsotakis doesn't have
de
any
los,
other option than to follow the previous
del
recipe.
gobierno Tsipras, los demás gobiernos.
Yorgos, muchísimas gracias.
Thank
por
you
este
very much,
tiempo.
Yorgos, for your time.
Gracias a ustedes también.
Hasta una
Buenas tardes.
próxima penal.
Anything.
Grecia, panorama
Greece.
postelectoral y clave
Let's see this. next report.
Es determinante el viraje que ha hecho el gobierno
It's
turco de
determining the
Recep Tayyip
Turkish
Erdogan al
government
priorizar
of
sus vínculos con
Erdogan
Rusia y China por sobre los que
by
mantenía con
going
Estados
straight
Unidos.
with
Incluso
Russia
ha
and
empezado a
China
tener
over
buena
the
sintonía con
relationship
el
with the
presidente
U.S.
sirio Bashar al-Assad.
They even have
Y
good
ha apoyado
relationship
su
with
avance
Bashar
contra el
al-Assad,
autoproclamado Estado Islámico,
and they
algo
go
que no
against the
ocurrió en
self-proclaimed
2011 cuando
Islamic
estalló la guerra
State,
en la República
which did not
Árabe.
happen
Este
before.
giro turco ha incrementado los
This
intereses de
Turkish
Estados Unidos en
SWIFT
Grecia, y ello se traduce en presencia militar.
has
El país
made
celebra
the
esta
U.S.
segunda
to have a
nación de la
more
OTAN que
presence
más invierte
in
en
Greece,
defensa, el 2,30. El ejército
is
griego
invested
tiene
in
150.000
arms.
todo esto con el respaldo de Estados Unidos. Su ubicación
The
geográfica es
U.S.
estratégica,
supports it
entre
because it
otras
has a
cosas, por su
geopolitical
fácil comunicación con Turquía,
strategic
Siria,
place.
Líbano, Libia e Israel, todas naciones de vital importancia
All of the
geoestratégica. No es de
surrounding
extrañar entonces que en
governments
septiembre pasado, jefe del
are
Estado Mayor
important.
Conjunto
So
de Estados
the
Unidos, ha señalado que su
conjoint
país
chief of
quiere
staff of
aumentar su
the middle
presencia.
increase
Turquía,
more,
en los últimos
and that is why spokesperson has said that they in problems internationally. The United States protects their interest of security in the Middle East, the Balkans, and the north of Africa. Let's continue with the analysis as we promised. Let's go to Greece. We have Kostas Sisichos. He was former defense secretary. Thank you very much for your time. I would like to know if you coincide with the focus that the U.S. strategic interests are related to the geopolitical importance of Greece. Well, in fact, they do. After the last distancing of Turkey and the U.S., however, Turkey is becoming a powerful player economically and military, involved in everything that has to do with Syria, with Iraq, and the problem they have with Kurdistan. Greece is becoming at the same time a strategic shoulder of NATO, of the U.S., because, as it was said before, after Israel, Greece would be the most loyal friend of the U.S. In Crete, we already have the first Israeli base. It's a military base that has radar control. And it's very important in the digital espionage. So Greece, under Alexis Tsipras, has become a very important player, especially for some of the projects they are carrying out. Among those, exploration of gas, of oil, in the Aegean Sea. So there's a reserve of gas that is very big, that apparently within this three-group friends is going to maintain a wall against the European Union. So we have to remember that Russia is one of the most powerful energy provider, and they provide it to Europe. So Greece has become a soldier of the region. We already have destroyed governments like Libya after the invasion of NATO. Well, they wanted to do the same thing with Syria, but they failed. Then we have the destruction of Iraq. We've got the destruction of Afghanistan. So the NATO has a role in all of this. Do you think that Mitsotakis in the power will change some stuff? No, on the contrary. Greece will become a more loyal country towards the U.S. Let's remember that he's the son of a right prime minister, former prime minister. And they also have an alliance, economic, strategically, and military, with the U.S. So it's not going to change much. Maybe a couple of things in the economy, but great part of the sovereignty of this country was lost in the last 10 years. Because they have a debt that's $3 billion towards the IMF and the Troika. The IMF, the European Bank, the Central European Bank, and the European Union themselves. So we've got our lenders, the loss of our economic sovereignty, and this strategic alliances that are taking place as we speak with Chipre, Cyprus, and Israel. Our previous guests said that when asked what is Europe winning with this new victory of the right, it's to go through a path of hegemony of the right in this region. So some time ago, Europe had already left the left governments. I want to know your vision on of this. What is going on with the European Union? The most say they're weak and fragile. And what are they winning? Well, we have a rising of the extreme right in Europe. The good thing about these elections is that Greece did not have the neo-Nazi movement in the parliament. They were not enough. They didn't have enough votes. And now we have, let's not forget this the strategy of Velopoulos that was the Greek plan. It was the increase of the extreme left, and they come from the policies that have been imposed. We've got a great increase of unemployment. We've got young professionals that flee the country, and of course they were formed in Greece with Greek money, and now they're doing very well abroad. So this vicious spiral internal, where the young people of Southern Europe go elsewhere, it's created holes, important holes in political system and representation systems, and the new racist and anti-migrant systems so we've got the tragedy of the Palestinian people that are still in the Middle East, and Greece has not played a pivotal role where they could be mediator to alleviate this crisis. But at the same time, the contrary happened. Mr. Tsipras and now Mitsotakis will not help out, and they'll follow their role, and they will create more migrants towards Europe.
del África, del Subsahara, del Medio Oriente, de Afganistán, etcétera, y este círculo vicioso
And
donde
this
se están
vicious
perdiendo
cycle
trabajos por parte de la clase trabajadora
is that the
europea, y
working
dentro
class
entran
are losing
trabajadores
jobs,
esclavos, entre comillas o sin comillas, como son los
and they take in
inmigrantes,
cheaper
refugiados
handwork
económicos,
that
están
coming from
fortaleciendo
Greece.
a las fuerzas de la
And
extrema
of course,
derecha y del
this
neofascismo,
this
que
just
tienen simplemente una
strengthens
cosa muy fácil que le
the
dicen a los
right,
pueblos: usted está
because what they say to the
desempleado,
people
está
is,
sufriendo,
you're
usted tiene
suffering, you don't have a
problemas
job,
económicos y
you've got this
sociales porque
economic
tenemos
problem.
inmigrantes de otro color,
You have them
de otras
because of the
religiones que
migrants,
viven en
because
Europa.
people of
Es
different
algo
colors, of different
muy
religions.
peligroso lo que
And
está
this is very
pasando,
dangerous.
y por eso se necesita en
And
estos
so
tiempos tan difíciles para la
we
izquierda,
need, at
en
these
esta
times that are
región,
so
en
hard
Grecia, en
for the
Turquía, en el
left,
resto de Europa también, fuerzas que tienen que entregar nuevos
we need
movimientos para la
forces that
paz,
bring
nuevos
new
movimientos que
movements
van a
towards
tener,
peace.
van a estar al otro lado de la orilla del río, como decimos, para poder reforzar
And
sus luchas contra el OTAN,
we have to
contra la
reinforce against the
expansión
staff, against the
de las
expansion
bases militares.
of the
Tenemos bases
military
militares nuevas
bases.
en Grecia que se están construyendo.
As I said,
En
we
el
have
norte
new
del Mar
military
Egeo, en el
bases
puerto de
on the north,
Alexandrópolis,
on the
nuevas
port of
bases
Alexandroupolis,
militares en Creta, como
and
mencioné, de parte de
Crete.
Israel, nuevas bases militares en el resto de las islas que se están
We've got
planificando, planes estratégicos.
islands. Thank you very much, Costas, for your vision. On what, based on everything we've seen, but well, definitely that the government, to all of this imposition that they had, people who were trying to steer clear this boat. So now the path with Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis is a route that is well known and that is established by the markets. A decade marked by corruption, by the decline of social, the most pivotal. Another problem is migration. And all the consequences back in the game, the U.S. Critical moves. Thank you.